When your life feels like a comedy show, you'll find that parenting suddenly turns into unexpected humor. That afternoon, the house was a circus. The kids were chasing each other and screaming while Rebecca was juggling cooking with getting her daughter to take off. This ordinary household chore was misread by Jim as a sign of abuse, so he took off his headphones in anguish and dialed 900. Stop, 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 he exclaimed as the kids were changing clothes, getting ready like they were off to a party. Suddenly, the police appeared, blocking their way and telling them to freeze. The officers rushed over. What in the world was Rebecca? Some bystander claimed Rebecca was abusing the kids, just as the cops arrived and asked her why she was forcing the kids to strip. The kids were screaming, and Rebecca could hardly believe her ears. The police quickly jumped in to manage the chaos. Witnessing the fiery scene, some bystanders were raking in cash. While Martin stumbled home drunk that night, he reeked of booze, scrambling to mask his blunders, but Rebecca saw right through him. What on earth had happened? He lost it, cursing up a storm as he stormed out, roaring at the downstairs neighbors like a dramatic actor in a play. He hurled insults at the neighbor, calling him a creep, even trying to kick the door down, only to end up having to call the cops. Faced with questions, Martin admitted he kicked the door and smashed a flower pot, but insisted he was wrongly accused. Both police and lawyers were involved, but it was getting complicated no matter how much they sympathized with him. If he kept stirring the pot, he might face charges, so Martin trudged home feeling defeated. He thought Martin was not only incompetent, but also had made a mess of everything, notifying him that the child services had contacted. Meanwhile, he was merely sitting there drinking, having completely missed the crucial opportunity to defend his family's honor. As Martin listened to his client's voicemail message, he suddenly realized with a start that the situation had spiraled completely out of control. In this tangled web of anger and sadness, he sought his lawyer's help once more. But his lawyer, overwhelmed by the complexity, was fired in a fit of rage. Martin tried to buy back his apartment from the landlord, but the landlord flat out refused. What a farce! The landlord said he was honest, making Martin more desperate. That night, he found his wife and kids had left. What looked like a neighborhood squabble masked deeper social psychology issues. It felt like a script. Research shows about 1.6% of the population has this disorder, characterized by unstable relationships and emotional swings. And this fit. The shift from Rebecca's obsession to hatred was a classic case. The phone rang in the empty apartment as Martin anxiously waited. When he redialed, Rebecca picked up. Martin hoped she'd come home, but her tone was as tough as nails. She refused to bring the kids home until the guy downstairs was dealt with. What a cliffhanger. Subtitles. Then, Martin dialed his mother's phone number. However, his attempt to get in touch with his father still proved unsuccessful. Mom sensed something was off, fearing Dad might do something reckless, so she didn't let him pick up. Martin reached out to his brother, who tried to console him, but revealed they were forced to move because of the neighbor. His brother warned Martin not to act rashly, otherwise he'd end up losing everything. The next day, Martin got a call from Rebecca, fuming and demanding she send over the kids' toys. The kids excitedly listed items to take. Hearing their innocent requests, Martin felt a pang. As the call ended, the kids expressed their love and longing for him. The separation was a heavy blow to Martin's heart. Jim found out Rebecca had moved out and suddenly missed her, so he contacted Martin. His words were jumbled as he tried to explain, but facing Martin's fury only amplified his anxiety. He went to the basement to speak with Jim, hesitating momentarily before opening the door, allowing Martin to finish what he started. Jim was uneasy, blaming himself for Rebecca and the kids leaving. Martin angrily said it was Jim's fault. The fabricated lies that Jane had made up out of thin air ruined the entire life of their family, which is truly beyond words, as it was obviously a lie. He kept insisting, of course, Rebecca and the kids couldn't be here, I'll bring her back, he said, like it was a dream. He asked if Rebecca would come back if he withdrew all charges with the police, but Martin couldn't promise that. Just talking wouldn't cut it. Jim eventually caved and agreed to write a letter, but when Martin got home, he discovered something unsettling. His devices seemed to be under surveillance. The camera light on his laptop flickered on without him doing anything. Nothing suspicious here. Martin was gearing up to confront Jim when suddenly, Dad showed up, saying his brother had called out of concern. Dad flashed a gun, and Martin quickly unplugged all electronic devices, explaining to him how complex the situation had become. He informed Dad that he just had a face-to-face with Jim downstairs, who promised to write to the police about his accusations. However, Dad was skeptical, recalling that brother had warned him this guy was a total flake. Martin decided to give the police some leeway for doubt, while also promising to keep an eye on things. Dad casually asked if Martin had eaten and mentioned staying up early. He was ready to intervene in the family crisis. The next morning, Martin woke up and Dad reminded him of the unsent police retraction letter. Martin stated he'd send another text, determined to get tough, demanding Jim deliver the letter by noon. Meanwhile, downstairs, Jim was typing away at his computer. Moments later, he received an explosive letter from Martin that left him stunned. He accused Martin of deceiving him yet again, signing a fake retraction. Talk about a plot twist.